Well, how's everybody doing tonight? Got the Yukon men's game on in about an hour's time. So what time does the game start? What, 9:20? Yee. Purdue versus Yukon should be a good one. But first, we're here at Baku. I think we should have at least 15, 16 checked in tonight. That's kind of what that's what I read. I don't know. Could be wrong. Is there any caffeine in Dr. Pepper? 41 milligram. That's not really a lot. Probably. 41 milligrams is not a lot. I may just need to down a Benadryl before I go to sleep tonight. That's fine. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Japanese Grand Prix weekend as well. WrestleMania weekend as well, if you're of the wrestling sort. Howdy, Spaceman. How you doing this evening? Got about 6 minutes until race time. Welcome to the Triple H area. That's for sure. Let me tell you something. That guy, somewhere in my phone, I have a picture of him with his face uh, morphed into Jesus. That is absolutely the correct response. I mean, it was an incredible turn of events last night. I will say though, I will say, I totally forgot about tonight until an hour ago. I tell you what, that does happen occasionally. I can't blame you there. That's the only thing is sometimes I find myself like, especially with the amount of leagues I do commentate now, I get mixed up so often with drivers from different places and races at different weeks of the season. So I mean, it's good. It keeps me on my toes a little bit. But the only thing I didn't really like about WrestleMania last night was the fact that Cody Rhodes enlisted the help of everybody. Maybe the only person he didn't have was Jesus himself helping him win last night. I kind of wish he would just like do it himself because this is going to be held against him forever now that he had to have the Undertaker and John Cena show up and Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn and who else? Jey Uso. Yeah, I think that's going to get held against him a little bit. Great match, great match. I wish he would have just won on his own merit though. I don't know. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but it's definitely what I think. Also, CM Punk is a gift to the commentary team. He should be there constantly. Well, fair and love and war. How long do you think it'll be before we see Roman again? Well, I tell you what, The Rock is on right now, so I don't know, maybe soon, but I could be wrong. The I think Roman. Here's the problem. Here's the problem right now. I think with Cody winning this, I actually have no idea what direction they're going to go in because I don't know how many other like worthy candidates there are to take the title off of him. You know what I mean? Like with Roman, you could have booked it with Drew McIntyre, you could have booked it with Seth, you could have booked it with Gunther, you could have booked it. Well, they did book it with Cody. You could have booked it with um. Oh, I'm forgetting a name, aren't I? CM Punk, I guess if he was healthy. Kevin Owens, maybe. I think I said Drew McIntyre already, didn't I? Yeah. I mean, Cody at the moment is just kind of like, what's next? Who's next? Right? Is it going to be Gunther? Is it going to be like, I don't know, Braun Breaker or something? It's going to have to be. And The Rock will probably, I'm seeing your comment now, Rock probably will be the first opponent because that's the only way it could be. By the way, I want to say this. I'm very impressed with The Rock's actual work ethic during WrestleMania this weekend. I kind of thought he would just like sit there, take like a back seat. No, he went for it, and I'm really happy about that. Him and Punk would be a great match. I tell you what, I think that would be a good match, but CM Punk, and I was talking about this with a guy the other day. CM Punk does not know that he's too old for his wrestling style. You know what I mean? There's a reason why Ric Flair carried on as long as he did because he was able to pace himself and actually get the most out of a match and the most out of what he was able to do. CM Punk doesn't do that. CM Punk just knows balls to the wall, and that's why he hurt himself. So I don't know. I don't know. I could be wrong. I really hope CM Punk. I don't know if how or if he's actually really healthy now, but like he took his cast off, whatever, hit Drew McIntyre. That happened, but I don't know like what that means. He could be fine. What I will say is this: um, Logan Paul, despite me hating his guts, is really good at his job. I think he's probably one of the more talented guys. Oh, for God's sakes, who's calling me now? Sorry, Brock. My brother's calling me. I'll get to that comment in a second. Yes. Same. Okay. Sorry? That's interesting. No, I understood that. Yeah. It's pretty clever. Yeah. No, that's pretty good. I didn't actually hear that. I have captions on because I'm going to be doing the league race here in about 30 seconds time. No, I'm on F1. You can do whatever you want. If you're on a PS4 game and I'm on a PS5 game, it does not matter. I don't think. Because like if I try to play like Rocket League or something and you're in Fortnite on the PS4, it will tell me that then. But if I'm in a PS5 game, I mean, I don't think it's any problem. If somebody in the chat could actually confirm that for me, because I don't know. Well, anyways, I doubt you're gonna have your game tomorrow, but have fun at practice and whatnot, eh? Oh, that's right. It was gonna be Wednesday and Thursday, eh? Yeah, well, I doubt that's gonna happen. But I'm going to Hartford tomorrow. I'm going to the Hartford game tomorrow. You guys are going to the game tomorrow? It'll log you. Okay, it'll log you out if you log in elsewhere, is what Cynical says. But I don't know. I haven't seen that yet. Hmm. Interesting. I'm going to Hartford tomorrow. It's supposed to rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but tickets are like $25. I'll be doing pretty good. I gotta buy a new scorebook though. I might do that. I'll stop in Waterbury before I head up because the game's at 7. But it's only like an hour from Grandma's house, so we'll be fine. Well, anyways, good talking to you. Have a good day tomorrow. Yep. Bye. So Cynical, now that you say that, I mean, I've tried to play the PS5 games, and I've had no problems despite him being on a PS4 game. But if I'm on a PS4 game and he's on a PS4 game, that's when the problems come into play. Gunther is definitely high on the list. Also, The Rock is the greatest man. I mean, he's his own element in wrestling. Punk is up there. Yeah, I mean, realistically, Gunther is the only guy I could understand giving the title to. Now, at least the heavyweight title. He deserves it. He all he does is chop and powerbomb people, and he gets it over. It's incredible. Um, yeah, I'm definitely hoping he gets like a legitimate title run because he fully deserves it. He is probably, in my eyes, uh, one of the best talents on the roster. And as I was saying with Logan Paul, man, that guy is good at wrestling. Has to be said. I hate it, but he is good at his job. All right, 20 seconds until formation lap here, or qualifying session starts. Either way. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the sixth round of the Monkey Mafia esports season. Tonight, we're at the Baku City Street Circuit in Azerbaijan for what should be formation lap already. Dude, I know, so many leagues. I have like, what, I don't even know. I've got at least 3 leagues where we do the sprint races and whatnot instead of qualifying sessions. Anyways, at the Baku City Street Circuit in Azerbaijan, what is one of the most intense, dangerous, controversial circuits on the F1 calendar and on the Midwest Monkey Mafia esports calendar. Look at that, I've already confused 2 leagues in one there. I will say, more recently, at least in the virtual world, this track is not the best. Not because it's not fun, but because it's like you're driving on icicles the whole time. The track feels so green whenever you're out there. We may see some DNFs in the castle. I absolutely believe that to be the case. But this track in particular, this game, has been so slippery. Dry, thank you, Cynical, for that. Has been so slippery. Every time you're trying to get the power down, the car just wants to spin away from you. I don't understand what has changed from last game, which, obviously the track felt as if it would rub it in, to now we're just feeling so green every time we're out there. But either way, dry session here to come, so that'll be good for racing at least. Baku known a time or two for having rain, most notably the first time this track was ever on the F1 calendar in 2017, I believe it was. Was it? Well, I didn't expect that. He's immediately... I don't even know what he's done there. He's crashed on the way out of the pit lane, and then the game has teleported him outside the track. I don't even know. We're going to ignore that. Anyways, DWCJ is going to be the first driver, well, the second driver, technically, out on track here. The first one being the AlphaTauri, which didn't even make it out of the garage. DWCJ, first driver out on track. The big thing here, again, as we were talking with the tires just not seeming to have any grip, the track feeling very, very green. Soft tires do wear quite quickly at this track, as far as I remember. It's not going to be more than 7 laps on these tires, and then we'll start to see the transition. So mediums are going to be the tire that everybody goes on today. The hards don't have enough grip to really make sense around here. The softs obviously are grippy in the beginning, but then wear away very quickly. So we may see drivers, we may see what they do tonight, doing the old medium, soft, medium, and not necessarily pitting for the softs for very long. What they may do is they'll go medium until the end, softs for maybe 1 or 2 laps, and then put the mediums back on and get themselves to a situation where they're on the good race tire for the entirety of the Grand Prix. Sure, they'll have to make an extra stop, but the car will be comfortable, and I think that's probably... We may see some drivers doing that today. Is that going to be the preferred strategy? Probably not, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen in today's Grand Prix. I'll take a look really quick at the drivers and constructors standings, as I naturally Discord quit on me for whatever reason there, so I'll get that up here shortly. So, your Drivers' Championship heading into Baku this week, of course, pending the Stewards' review. V leads the standings at 115 points, Jacob second at 94, Caesar 88, Cynical at 77, Zach 65, Gab 62, DB the best at 58, tied with Funky Breezy for that 9th spot. That's the top 10 in drivers. Down the pit straight goes DWCJ here, we'll get to that. Mercedes leads Aston Martin by 32 points, 195 to 163. Aston Martin leads McLaren by 4 at 150. 159. It's 21 back to Williams at 138. 6 behind them is Alfa Romeo. A sole point behind Alfa Romeo is Red Bull. AlphaTauri 119, Ferrari 91, Haas 90, and Alpine 72. Those are your constructor standings. Making his way down the second of the straights here in towards this very treacherous third and fourth corner here is that of DWCJ. That third corner, the outside wall creeps up on you so quickly, as well as the outside of turn 4 here. That's a very much raised curb on the inside of the corner, and if you hit it and go too wide, you will clobber the barrier. Through 5, 6, and 7. Getting in towards the slow part of the circuit now. Again, gotta watch out for oversteer there. Into the braking zone at turn 7. It's an interesting braking zone, this. You want to cut as much of that corner as you can without invalidating the lap. It's a very difficult game to play, and if you miss that braking zone, as you'll do here for, via Castle, it will not be fun for you. He's gone through the Castle section. He's exiting turn 13 now. Sorry, that was turn 12. He's now going through 13. Famous Marcus Ericsson hit us corner, as I'm sure some of you remember. Down towards turn 15 now. Bit of a tricky braking zone. That outside wall creeps up on you very, very quickly into the braking zone at 16, 17 after that, and it looks as if, is that the Alpine who's had a bit of a spin there coming in at 16? Certainly appears to be. This little transition here between 18 and 19, very difficult. You want to take it as flat as you can, but oftentimes you can't do that as the car wants to go quicker and wider than it actually can, and you hit the outside wall. I've seen that a time or two. Just coming to the crash site of Funky Breezy here, coming off of turn 3. Not really sure what happened, but that car was off track. DWCJ, a 143.024. Not bad first lap, but I have a feeling that one's going to be done in rather soon here. To the line comes one of the Alpine drivers. It's going to be that of Chuck Blazin, starting a timed lap here. DW's teammate of Caesar is going to be coming down the pit straight now. Let's see what kind of top speeds he's hitting. 210, 11 at the line, 141.893, and that is more the timing window that I would more expect as Slayer Eyes goes provisional pole, 141.620. I believe only the second driver to go into the 141s, now the mid 141s. Caesar's gone second. 2 3/4 tenths behind Slayer Eyes, not a bad first attempt there. AlphaTauri of Macho, I'm sorry, on the hards, a 140.439 on the hard tires in the qualifying session. That is, I mean, what are we doing here, guys? That is incredible. That is probably. Don't put him on the softs. I need to turn my brain on. Yeah, that would typically be a good thing to do. But I mean, a 140.439 on the hards? That's ridiculous. I mean, we look at drivers like Reimer and DWCJ and Caesar and Slayer Eyes as well. These guys aren't these guys aren't pushovers, man. These guys are some of the quickest drivers I know. And a 144 that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. I don't think anyone's beating that, and he's on the hard tires as well. There's no way. I mean, I don't even know. Coming around the line now, we do have one of the Williams. This is going to be that of Cynical starting a timed lap here, making his way down the pit straight. He's turned on his battery a little bit early to get that straight line speed as much as he can. Gab's going to be coming across the line now. He's going to be in the 140. Well, I was going to say 144 is 143.981. About as close to the 144s without actually being in them. To the line that time was the Grip Hack, has to be. Chuck Blazin's gone third, about a second and a half behind. What I will say is second through sixth right now, separated by about 8 tenths. So some good competition here in the upper half of the grid. And then as we get towards the midfield more, it does slightly start to get a little bit more spread out. But not alarmingly enough. Duffy does appear like he's going to be, well, he's not on the time lap now. His recharge light is on. Slightly weird to see that. He's got 75% battery as well. Perhaps is he going to be starting a new one here? That would be my guess. Cynical on a time lap still. He's making his way through the castle now. 10 minutes 40 remaining in the session. So, yeah. Hard tires there for Macho, 140.439. I'm going to keep having to say that because I still don't believe it. Maybe the more times I say that, I'll start to actually... No, I still don't believe it. I don't know how he's done that. Cynical making his way down the hill towards turn 16. He's on the low fuel as well. That's certainly going to help him as he makes his way now through 17 and eventually into the flick of 18 and 19 here. Yeah, he's held it pretty well. That used to be one heck of a corner to try to negotiate there with the old generation of cars. Oftentimes a lift, maybe a downshift if you're on older tires. Not anymore. Cynical across the line, 208 is what he'll hit when he goes across the line. Second, 149.01. That, even being on the soft tires, that's a great lap. Still 4.5 tenths behind Macho on the hards. I sure hope the lads at Pirelli's, locked those soft tires away in a garage somewhere. Because that's going to be scary. Anyways, Anime Boy on an outlap now, making his way down the hill towards turn 16. We do have, I think, only one or two drivers. No, just the one on a timed lap now. Duffy making his way through Sector 2, 5/100 slower through Sector 1. Let's see what he's got here as he makes his way through 15. He'll go down the hill towards 16, and then we'll find out how this second sector has gone for him. And he's improved by quite a lot. 7.5 tenths for Duffy. That'll put him up to 7th, I believe, if he rounds out the lap in a good note here. Matter of fact, he was slow through Sector 1 as well. He must have absolutely nailed the castle section. DRS activated. Hardly no battery left. 212, maybe more. They'll cross the line at 214. That's the fastest top speed we've seen so far. 142. 142.362 has actually gotten that 7th spot. He beats Reimer by about 2/100ths of a second. 3.5. Sorry, yeah, just playing 3/10ths of a second behind his teammate of Jade for that 6th spot. Very good attempt there from Duffy here in the early goings. You have Anime Boy making his way out of turn 6 now, down towards turn 7. I'm worried about this braking zone here. We're going to see a lot of drivers make mistakes through that tonight. Oh, and he's gone way too late on the brakes there, I'm afraid, and that car has gone straight into the barriers. Oh, goodness me, the AlphaTauri, I'm afraid. Well, that was Macho on an outlap there. Anime Boys picked up a 5-place grid penalty for the collision with Macho, although it has to be said, that's not necessarily Anime Boy's fault there. I think Macho, let me look at that one more time. Anime Boy had crashed the car going into the castle section there. How is that not a DNF? I agree with that. Anime Boy crashes the car going into the castle section. He keeps it in neutral. Maybe tries to reverse a little bit. Well, that's what he's done. I think it's interesting there because I don't necessarily believe that warrants a 5-place grid penalty. Macho should have slowed down for the yellow flags. And, of course, that's a blind corner. If you see yellow flags and there's a blind corner, especially that part of the track where you're just simply not going to get two drivers going side by side, you might want to consider slowing down. Has to be said. I know it's a qualifying session and you get yellow flags. Oh, and Macho has retired from the session, crashing into the pit lane. But what I was going to say is I know it's a qualifying session and obviously you got drivers going slow all the time and causing these yellow flags. But when you're in a situation like that, I think maybe he would have even seen the front wing on the circuit there. I don't know. That's a really interesting position. I don't believe it necessarily warranted a grid penalty from Anime Boy. I think that is what the game is going to give him every time. But even if he did stay put there, Macho was going to hit him either way. There's just no way that you can go through that corner in a position where you can safely get by an incident like that. Yeah, I don't know. Tough one to call there. Neither party, I really think at fault. But again, I especially Anime Boy, I don't really think at any fault. He's not done anything too ridiculous. Macho, not at fault either, although I do believe he probably should have slowed down for the yellow flags a little bit. As with Macho's on board, he couldn't have stopped, from my opinion. Yeah, it definitely looked as if... there was no way he would have came to a full stop, that's for sure. But I think... I don't know. What are we... There was no yellow and couldn't see the car. There wasn't any yellow? That kind of surprises me a little bit. I could understand not being able to see the car. That is a blind corner. It's a terrible corner to try to navigate when you got something like that happening. But not having a yellow flag there is a little weird, because that was full. He's gone head on to the barriers and had to stop the car. It's perpendicular with the circuit. You have to have yellow flags for that. I don't know why they've not displayed for him. Really weird. But again, I don't know. What are we taking this yellow sign come on after he hit him? Unfortunately, that is just terrible luck there. But let's go along with Chuck Blazin here. What are we taking this corner at? It's not second gear, is it third? Yeah, that's not a flyer from Chuck Blazin, it doesn't appear. But I mean, if we're taking that through third or fourth gear, you know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe older tires, you slow down a little bit more. I agree with you. There's no way he would have stopped completely for that. I don't know. Yeah, really weird one there. Again, I don't think Anime Boy deserves a 5-place grid penalty in the grand scheme of things. It's really not going to matter all that much. But yeah, still, bit of a harsh one there. And unfortunate for Macho, who crashed the car coming into the pit lane. He probably absolutely could have improved on his pole time. But what this may do now is we may see a situation where Macho, obviously having to sit out the last 7 minutes of this qualifying session, say, he'll get into a situation where now he'll be cold. Now he has to, not necessarily relearn the circuit, but he's not going to be as comfortable with his car as some of the other drivers around him. That may be a severe handicap for Macho. It certainly is for a lot of drivers. Macho, I have no doubt in his talents, but yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming he'll be fine, but if he's not, then that could probably be the reason why. 3 drivers out on track, one of which coming out of the pit lane. Caesar, which I'm not sure, doesn't appear to be on a timed attempt, really. No, I'm going to say no to that. We've got Slayerized on an outlap, Duffy on an outlap. Looks like his teammate of Jade has improved or has either stayed that kind of 0.3 of a second ahead of his teammate there. Currently a 4th row lockout for the Red Bull team. Reimer having a bit of an off day so far, 1.9 behind. But I mean, not even in the top 5 is a little weird for the McLaren driver, has to be said. Currently 2 100ths behind Duffy. Gavin Spaceman yet to put together, I wouldn't say competitive attempts, but more... Yeah, competitive attempts is putting it rudely. I don't think I'm trying to do that. I think I'm just trying to say that's not representative of what their actual pace is going to be. Speaking of which, Spaceman out on track now, making his way through turn 2. We do have now Caesar beginning one here. Well, actually, no, I'm wrong. He's going into the pit lane. Now we do have... Well, who is it? Is it the Red Bull of Duffy? Yeah, Duffy is beginning one now. In towards turn 1 goes the Red Bull driver. Couple of tenths to the good here. He could put himself in the top 5. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to do that. Heavy and way late into the braking zone at turn 2. Just barely clipping the barrier on the outside. And I'm not too sure. But again, this sector 1 is where he had difficulty last time. If he improves at all here, that'll be good. Remember, on his previous attempt, and the time he has on the board now, was slower through sector 1 by about 5 100ths. So any improvement at all through sector 1 here will be a massive help towards Duffy's time. I don't know. He must have absolutely aced sector 2 on that previous attempt. He's about a 10.5 slower through sector 1 for the time being. He's hit the wall there coming into turn 6. This may not be a lap to look out here for Duffy. We've got 2 minutes remaining here. He's kind of better off just getting that car back on the recharge and putting together another one here at the end of the lap. Anime Boy making his way out of turn 15 down the hill towards 16 now. He'll be the first driver here to put together what I would believe to be the final round of time-lapse attempts. He's making his way through 17 and 18 now. Down the pit straight he goes. We can watch on with him for a little bit. We do have the pair of the Red Bull drivers making their way. We've got, I believe, both Mercedes drivers. Yes, we do. Slayerized on a timer now, making his way through sector 1 now, about a 10th slower. So Slayerized having a little bit of difficulty here. He may have enough time to get back around and start a new one. He'll have to really gun it, though. We got the pair of the Red Bull drivers. Look at this. Perhaps a tow being orchestrated here between the pair of the Red Bulls. Duffy on his way in. That'll be the end of his qualifying session. Jade to the line now. Starting a new one here. Heavy over the inside curve. Exits turn 2 very well. Not even close to the wall on the outside. Sorry, that was turn 1. This is turn 2 here. Well, the point stands for both. Not really close to the outside wall. He's held it pretty well. Starting a time lap now as well as DWCJ. Now, DWCJ, quick driver, may have traffic ahead with Jade. That could be something to look out for here, but Jade's going to be the first driver around to finish out these rounds of timed attempts. 35 seconds remain on the clock. We've got the Aston Martin there. I'm afraid that is Spaceman off in the runoff area. Unfortunate for him. That's going to be the end of his qualifying session. So Jade currently 2.5 tenths slower through sector 1, and now Does DWCJ get held up behind the Red Bull here? 10 seconds remain. Will the Mercedes of Caesar get to the line in time? Oh, it's going to be really close here. He's going to make it by a lone second. Yes, he does. So, Slayerized, Duffy, and Gab, the few drivers who couldn't improve. Slayerized through Sector 1 was about 4/100 slower. Coming around the final couple of corners now is Anime Boy. He's making his way down the pit straight. What will he have to offer? Yet to have a time on the board. He's going to come to the line here. Not a bad-looking time, I don't think. Be in the 143s. No, it's going to be a 142.385, goes 10th. Next up behind him, the Red Bull of Jade, who 0.3 of a second quicker through Sector 2. Is he able to improve here? Maybe out-qualify DWCJ and Chuck Blazin. Let's see. Across the line goes Jade, and it's going to be an improvement of 5.5. Goes 5th. DWCJ actually out-qualified Jade there, right behind the Red Bull. Jade crossed the line first, but DWCJ gets the better time by about 1/10 of a second there. Matter of fact, exactly a 1/10 of a second between the two. Very close indeed. Next up looks to be, I believe, the Alpine of Chuck Blazin, 2.5 quicker through Sector 2 and across the line for Chuck Blazin here. Goes 4th, 141.378, improves by half a second. Very good time from him. DJE Flat making his way around the final couple of corners now, but before him is Reimer. 8.5 quicker through Sector 2. Unbelievable. Let's see, can he put together a good one here? Across the line goes Reimer, only 6th fastest, and DJE Flat goes 5th. 2/1000 of a second slower than Chuck Blazin. Very close there between 4th, 5th, and 6th. Less than 3/100ths separating those three drivers. Reimer about with that 9/1000ths ahead of the Red Bull there of Jade. Very close indeed. So your starting grid then for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It is Macho on pole by about half a second there. Cynical goes second. Third is Caesar. Fourth, Chuck Blazin. DJE Flat is fifth. DWCJ sixth. Reimer seventh. Jade eighth. Slayerized ninth. And 10th is Duffy. 11th is Anime Boy. Of course, he's got a 5-place grid penalty as well. Gab 12th. 13th is Spaceman. Cameron Dowds and Funky Breezy did not put together timed attempts. Well, the hard tire run for Macho proved to be the best time of the session, despite retiring midway through. Cynical doing well. I think he is probably the most worthy challenger to Macho, but get Macho on the soft tires, which we haven't seen yet. That guy might pull away. A lot of competition in the top 6. Let's see if it stays that way. So clear skies here in Azerbaijan, which is what we wanted to see. Is that a car outside making that? Sounded like a hoodlum with their Honda Accords with no muffler on it. Or the Subarus or whatever. You already know what I mean. So your schedule coming up here in the Monkey Mafia Esports Series, we do have coming up here, Baku being round 6 of the season. We head to Qatar, Vegas, and the Netherlands the next 3. China and Canada round out the next 5. Getting closer to halfway towards the season here. It was a great round last week in Imola. Baku here should be a fun one. What? Ila Dragunov just beat Shinsuke Nakamura. That one isn't what I expected. But anyways. So, formation lap about to begin here. Let's see the tire strategies chosen by our competitors here tonight. I would assume, yep, it's going to be hard tires for Macho. Only 3 drivers taking the softs, that being Cynical, Slayerized, and Funky Breezy. Cameron Dowd's Anime Boy, the only other 2 to have gone hard. The rest of the grid on the mediums. So, at least 3rd through 8th here going to be on level pegging as far as tires are concerned. That should make for some good competition there. 26 laps of the Baku City Street Circuit here, which is sure to be which is sure to make for some entertaining racing as well as some carnage as well. 15 drivers on the grid. Hopefully, we do get at least all of them finishing. That's what I would hope. Of course, the safety car here and there is fine, but I would rather see all 15 finish this race and having good racing throughout. So Macho. Now, this is the point I was trying to make about Macho earlier. Obviously, he's on pole. He's starting on the hard tires. He feels confident. However, will he be, cold, so to speak? Will he be in a position where, he may not be as warm to the circuit, to how the car feels as the drivers around him? Mind you, the drivers around him got 7 minutes more qualifying time. They got 7 minutes more track time than Macho. I'm sure Macho has this circuit, memorized like the back of his hand, but it begs the question, will he be able to remain competitive here despite being at that, what I would call a disadvantage here? Tough one for sure. Not entirely sure what the outcome's going to be, but Cynical's going to have one hell of a job here trying to get around Macho through that first corner. He is what I'm sure a lot of people would consider the grid's hope right now, to try to knock the AlphaTauri off the top of the grid. Oh, and that was Caesar. You only just saw it out of the back of your picture there. That car went full tilt coming out of turn 16 there. 12 to 16, your transition from the mediums to the hard tires for... Yeah, I didn't know what anything else said, but... So we should be seeing that transition from soft to mediums roughly halfway through the session as expected. But again, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody start on the mediums, go to the softs for a couple of laps, and then go to the mediums again to just be on the better tire. Look at Macho. Look how angled across the circuit he is trying to... Oh, and he's been disqualified from the session. I was going to say, he was lined up on that grid totally across the nose then of Cynical, trying to make sure that that car did not get any sort of advantage off the line. Cynical being on the softs here as a really solid attempt. Oh, let's see. This is going to be a great one. Cynical has the inside line. If he gets off to any sort of a good start here, Macho's going to have a task trying to stay ahead of Cynical through the first corner. Well, here we go. Lights about to be turning on here. I don't really have the best camera angle, but 4 lights and eventually 5 here in Baku for the 6th time of the season. They are off here. Now, Cynical gets a very good start. Being on the soft tires has probably cleared Macho. Macho's gone straight off track, done the old Lewis Hamilton routine there through turn 1. Cynical will lead the grid, entering turn 2 here as the 2 AlphaTauris now make up the back end of the grid. We do have side-by-side Jade and DJE flat for the 6th spot. We do have a couple of battles going towards the back as well, and I think both AlphaTauris going through turn 2 now relatively slowly. Cynical making his way. Funky Breezy side-by-side with Duffy here going through turn 3. Very tricky part of the circuit to try to go this close to each other with, and he's done it, but oh, Chuck Blazin head on into the barrier, entering turn 4. That'll be a virtual safety car here on the opening lap of the Grand Prix. Chuck Blazin, similar to his teammate of Anime Boy in the qualifying session, goes head on into a barrier, loses the front wing, and we've got the track slowed now. So Cynical getting off to a great start. Macho, well, we don't really know what happened with him, but that car went clean off through turn 1. And track back to green here. Cynical has Caesar by 1.5 seconds now. A matter of fact, it's the 2 Mercedes positions 2 and 3. Reimer up to 4th has done well, up 3 spots since the beginning. Funky Breezy up 6, currently belonging driver of the day here. But now Reimer down to the inside through turn 16. DWCJ actually losing 2 spots there as we have a yellow flag at the back. That's Slayerized going round out of turn 16. Unfortunately, that car winding up in the barriers. But what were we going to say there? Reimer making an overtake in a rather unconventional portion of the track. You don't often see moves be made going through turn 16 like that, but he's done that very nicely there. Here comes Jade around the outside of Reimer, behind, what was that, DWCJ into the pits now. Jade round the outside, really close to the barriers there, somehow didn't hit it, and he's still side by side with Reimer here. DJ E Flat looking on and hoping that the drivers make mistakes ahead of him. They won't have DRS until next time by, but look at this, still side by side now. This has gone on since going down the pit straight, and out through turn 3, they're still side by side here in towards turn 3, and I think finally Reimer is going to barely pull ahead, but he's gone too deep into the braking zone. That may allow Janae to have a look. Not quite, but that Red Bull definitely hungry for the spot, and it's still looking like something could be brewing here between the two. Making their way through turn 6 now, down towards turn 7. We do have Chuck Blazin pitting at the back. A little bit of oversteer there for Funky Breezy at the back of your picture. Going into the castle section now, Reimer looks like he's holding it quite well. DJ E Flat has actually kind of fallen off the back of this battle just a little bit. As we do have Spaceman, I believe something's happened with the Aston Martin. I'm not quite sure. Looks to have the wing attached. Has lost a couple of spots there, I'm afraid. Janae got really close to the back end of Reimer there, going through 15. As they exit 16 now. Whoever gets the better run through 18 and 19 here will absolutely have the advantage down the pit straight, along with Janae now. And I think that Red Bull definitely looks quicker than the McLaren here. Tries the right side. Now this is pretty much identical to the move he lined up the first time. DJ E Flat watches on. Janae tucks back in line of Reimer. Remember, no DRS until next time by. Across the line they go. Reimer has the advantage for now. Still trying the outside is Janae. Will he be able to have a position? Oh, and they're both right into the wall there. And, well, going through the corner, I'll look at it again. Oh, I tell you what, the full safety car on track now. Reimer and Janae both going head-on into the barrier, exiting turn 1, and that was a very odd incident there as I try to find a place in the stream to look at it a second time. They were going side by side through turn 1. Along with the battle now Janae, we appeared to... It appeared that he was kind of quicker on the straight line. Reimer was doing well, though, holding him off, and they were side by side. Janae tucks back in line as they go through turn 1. Into the corner, Reimer is clear ahead on the inside. As they exit the corner, Janae, maybe did he panic that he was going to be hitting the outside wall? From the camera angle, we weren't on board with the driver. We couldn't really tell if he turned in or not. Reimer appeared initially to have held his line well, and unfortunately just contact made between the two. I mean, the customary procedure is that you are responsible for the driver ahead of you, but it has to be said, both of them looked like they held their line very well. And I'm not really sure who the blame falls on there. I do believe Janae, being the driver behind, may look like that penalty could go to him, but I'm not entirely sure. Both of those drivers missing the front wings, I'm sure. Other side pod and rear wing damage happening for both of them. The safety car on track. Chuck Blazin picking up a drive-through for speeding into the pit... not speeding into the pit lane, speeding under safety car. But Cynical now a free pit stop for him. We've had a virtual safety car and now a full safety car here in the opening couple of laps. Cynical into the pits. We can assume it's going to be the mediums for him. Maybe the hards. The hards will not make it the full ways. I'm confident in that. So Cynical pits here, along with what appears to be the majority of the grid. The only other one that doesn't is that of Anime Boy. Cynical to the mediums here. Reimer on the mediums with the front wing change as well. He'll be slightly farther back. And it is going to be an additional set of medium tires for Reimer, so he will have to make an additional stop at some point in the Grand Prix. That's to fit a different compound of tire. Anime Boy stays atop the grid. Cynical files in behind second now on the mediums. Spaceman stays out on track on the mediums for him. DJ E Flat goes to the mediums. Caesar goes to the hards. DWCJ apparently stays out. That's right, he had pit coming out of the first lap. Funky Breezy to the mediums. Gab and Janae both to the hards. Reimer to the mediums, so he'll have to stop again. We know that. The pair of the Alpha Tauris pitting for mediums here. Macho started on the hards. He's gone to the mediums here. I believe Cameron Dowds was on the softs. I could be wrong about that. Duffy to the hards, Slayer Eyes to the hards, and Chuck Blazin to the mediums as well. So, Anime Boy suddenly finds himself atop the grid here. And again, in bizarre circumstances, that incident took place, has to be said. Didn't appear that there was much fault on either driver involved. Maybe the slightest of turn to the outside for Reimer, perhaps the slightest of turn to the inside from Jade. It could have gone either way, really. So I believe we're going to have the safety car stay out one more lap here. That would be my guess. Probably wait until lap 6 to have the safety car come in here. Baku, we assumed, was going to bring the safety car and the virtual safety car aplenty. We've had one there on the 3rd lap after the virtual safety car on the 1st lap. I'm a little surprised neither of those cars had actually retired from the session with how hard they had hit the barrier on the outside. It looks as if Cameron and Reimer kind of swapping positions here. Cameron's on his way into the pits as well as Spaceman here, so what that's going to do is that's going to allow... Whoa, did you see that? Did you see Macho there outbraking his teammate into the pit lane? That was ridiculous. I mean, Macho just pulled off overtaking the day under safety car and going into the pit lane. Cameron Dowd is not going to be happy with that one. I mean, he has just completely done in his teammate there on the way into the pit lane. Both drivers pitting here, both going into an additional set of the medium tires. So safety car still out on track here. I'm assuming we're going to get it in probably this time by. I could be wrong. We won't get the message until it crosses into the Sector 3 timing line, going in towards turn 16. And it does appear the safety car will be in this time by. Let's see. Actually, well, no, there it is. There it is. That was slightly alarming. So Anime Boy on the hards here. He'll have one heck of a battle here with some of the quickest drivers in Monkey Mafia Esports right around him. This is going to be a close one here. Anime Boy will definitely have to get away well on the hard tires. Couple of drivers, as you can see, trying to get some sort of an advantage here. Anime Boy is holding them up as long as he can. Look at this. They're not even through turn 20 yet. Well, they've already gotten through turn 20, but look how far back on the straight they are. Anime Boy goes away now. How much of a conundrum is there behind? Oh. That was Funky Breezy entering the pit lane and then retires. I could have swore we had a car pulling into the pit lane there. I didn't know it was the pit lane or just crashed, but either way, Funky Breezy out of the Grand Prix as they exit turn 2 now. Cynical, 2.5 tenths of a second, back to Anime Boy. He's going to try the inside line. Not necessarily a bold one here, probably the preferred way to be in through turn 3. Anime Boy is going to actually try to outbrake Cynical around the outside, and the Alpine kind of getting into the wall there on exit. DJ E flat trying the outside now. This one might get difficult here. DJ, I believe, nearly hitting the wall on the outside there. Didn't hit it, but got very close. Caesar in position as well. Anime Boy, I'm afraid, is dropping positions here rather quickly. DWCJ up next to try to take the Alpine here. Perhaps as he looked to make the move into turn 7. That would be a bold thing to do, and it looks as if he's going to think better of it there. Cynical has a second and a half back to DJE flat already. Cameron Dowds gets to the inside of Jade, going through turn 7. Bold place to make a move, and he's done just that. Now Macho in 7th, looking like he's going to have Gab here down to the inside. The acceleration just so pure from the AlphaTauri in question. Side by side now is Dowds getting around Gab as well. The pair of the AlphaTauris making their way up. Gab nearly, and Gab is retired from the session nearly, and we've got a bit of a collection going on behind. I was going to say Gab nearly getting into the back end of the AlphaTauri, but instead goes clean into the barriers at turn 15, and he had a bit of a stack up behind him as Reimer and Chuck Blazin trying to make evasive action, and we've got our second safety car of the day. Less than a lap after the last one comes in, we've got another one on track here. Cynical's going to be the first one to pit here. Probably to the hard tires would be my guess. Only 20 laps to go this time by. DJE Flat, Caesar, Anime Boy, DWCJ all staying out here. A couple of drivers, only a couple, really deciding to pit here. Cynical Macho, Cameron Davis coming in. Slayerized and Spaceman stay out. Jade, Reimer, Chuck Blades, and well, I'm not quite sure about Duffy, but we may look to see him in here in a second. Macho to the intermediate tires. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on here, but as well as Cameron Dowds. There's no way we have rain coming. Yeah, I don't know. Little odd. What channel is the basketball on? CBS? So DJE Flat now belongs to the top spot with having stayed out on track, as well as Caesar and Anime Boy. Anime Boy, with how kind of poorly he got away from the last safety car, you kind of figured he was going to be coming in here. Not the case. We do have DWCJ stayed out as well. Cynical had come in. I believe Slayerized and Spaceman stayed out. The pair of the AlphaTauris have gone to the intermediates for whatever reason. Reimer to the hards, Jade and Chuck Blaze into the softs. And Duffy didn't appear to come in. So it looks as if this safety car will stay out at least. Another lap here as they wait for the final four at the back of the grid to get caught up. Two AlphaTauris messing about here for whatever reason. Into the pit lane they go. And look at this, Macho gets both him and Spaceman, but then takes a 5-second penalty for speeding to the pit lane. Unfortunate there. But into the pits goes Macho, another change. It's onto the softs now. Cameron Dowd pitting as well to the softs for the AlphaTauri. This has got to be at least their fourth pit stop of the day. That's exactly what it is. So now we've got the couple of drivers at the back end trying to get caught up here. Macho, Spaceman, and Cameron making their way to the back of the queue here, getting ready for the safety car to come in probably at the end of this lap. That'll leave us on the 9th lap of the Grand Prix. Getting closer towards halfway, not quite there yet. So safety car in at the end of this lap. DJE Flat will attempt to lead the grid away here well on the decently fresh set of medium tires. He's got most of the drivers behind have gone hard. Jade, Chuck Blazin, Macho, and Cameron Dowd have all gone soft. The rest currently occupying the mediums. So we'll have to wait and see who's at the advantage here. 9th lap of the Grand Prix coming up in a bit. We're only 5 or so laps away from being halfway through this Grand Prix, which I'm sure is going to have more safety car, more virtual safety car, and perhaps a lot more action as well. Hoping for that third one, definitely. 2 safety car early here, coming out on the 3rd lap of the Grand Prix, staying out until lap 6, making at the end of lap 6 towards lap 7. The next one had come out. So here we are about to begin the 9th lap of the Grand Prix. Let's see if DJ's able to hold off. And it appears he's going to get away now. Oh, that's some wing damage going on towards the back. Not quite sure whose wing it is that's come off there, but it was a noticeable piece of carbon fiber had left whatever vehicle it belonged to, and DJE Flat loses it out of the first corner. And, well, he's going to be falling quite quickly down the order here, which is a little surprising to me, being on the medium tires. Obviously, what I would believe to be the most grippy tires on the grid, not the case. That hands the lead of the Grand Prix over to Caesar. Anime Boy in pursuit. He's got DWCJ behind. Mercedes looking for a good result here. Jade to the inside of Reimer. Remember, this is the second time now we've seen these two battle, and, well, the second time doesn't end in an accident for either one. So that's good news, but Jade now up to 6th. DWCJ a 10th and a half here, making their way through turns 5 and 6 now. Cynical looking good, but Cynical at the moment doesn't appear to be pressuring the 2 drivers ahead. Into the corner they go. Oh, Cynical's gotten a tap from, I believe, well, I'm not sure who hit him behind there. I think it may have been Slayerized. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Oh, and Reimer's gone off at the entry to the castle section there. Somebody, I think it may have been Slayerized. Yep, he's missing the end plate on the right front side. Maybe is there somebody else involved? Could it have been Jade? Getting into that, I'm not entirely sure, but as Macho gets down the inside of Jade, and Jade, oh, clean into the barrier there through turn 15. And the virtual safety car out on track now. We've got several bits of carbon fiber scattered the track here. Jade is going to need a front wing. Slayer is going to need a front wing. I think Spaceman looks good. DJE Flat might need one. Reimer, I would assume, might need one as well. Virtual safety car on track. Caesar still leads. So into the pits goes DWCJ, Macho, and Cameron Dowds here. A pair of the AlphaTauri drivers making their 5th stop of the day now. Wing change going on. Back to green flag racing here. Caesar leads by 3.5 seconds. Cynical 5.5 tenths of a second. Reimer, unfortunately, decides to not finish out the Grand Prix. Very unfortunate for him. Caesar, though, leading the way for now, 4.5 seconds. Cynical and Anime Boy were nearly side by side there going through turn 6. Matter of fact, they were side by side. I'm a little surprised there wasn't any contact between the two. Not a very easy corner to try to attempt to take close to each other like that. Now Cynical, will he have to look through into the castle? No, I'd be a little surprised. But for the time being, Cynical really applying the pressure to the back end of Anime Boy here. Looking a good battle between these two. Funky Breezy's left the session, unfortunate for him. Drive-through penalty still for Chuck Blazin, which he'll need to serve. Pair of the AlphaTauri making 5 stops today. A little bit further behind, Cameron Downs to the inside of Chuck Blazin. They're making their way towards in on through the Ericsson hit us corners here. And it looks like Cameron Downs going to get that 8th spot. Not necessarily easily, but good enough. DRS enabled now as Cynical down to the inside of Anime Boy. These two won't have DRS until they exit turn 2. But the battle now, Cynical to the inside, and Anime Boy still trying around the outside there. Towards the barrier they go. Cynical affords plenty of room to the outside, and Cynical's going to get that spot relatively easily. Coming out of turn 2, it looked as if, oh, I tell you what, Anime Boy hitting the wall now, that's a hefty impact, and I'm afraid on his own error as well, losing the car coming out of turn 2. Lots of front wing litter the circuit there. I'm a little surprised this isn't a virtual safety car, because that's an entire front wing going through a DRS section. Little odd. Oh, and, well, that's Anime Boy there, smacking the wall coming out of turn 3. Unfortunately, that car is just not going to be able to turn. It's doing it at a turn 4 as well. That car not having any downforce, and, well, I wouldn't be surprised if taking the easy way out. Yep, there he goes. Car crashed. Safety car probably on track here. No? No safety car for that? Good. Well, the grid's slightly spread out now. The pair of the AlphaTauri, a close battle going on. Slayerized up to 9th as Anime Boy retires. We're down to 11. Closest battle on track is that between Chuck Blazin and Duffy for the 10th spot. Two drivers which had not necessarily a... I mean, Chuck Blazin down 7 spots, had a couple of mistakes here and there. Duffy has stayed stagnant, started 10th, currently 10th, as well as his teammate who started 8th. Slayerized, who started 9th, also there. Cynical still 2nd. Hey, Spaceman up 8 spots, though, for him so far. The battle's still between these two for the 10th spot, the closest on track at the moment. We started with 15, we're down to 11. And now do we see a position change between the two AlphaTauris. Cameron Dowds does get around Macho there going in towards turn 1. It's a little surprising. I would think that Macho would be the quicker driver. I'm sure we're going to see that change again. Chuck Blazin getting around Duffy there well before they make it towards the first corner. Blazin had that one wrapped up quite early on. But now do we see Duffy make a move on Chuck Blazin with the aid of DRS going down the turn 2 straight here, and it looks as if the Alpine's going to get away slightly better. As DWCJ getting around Spaceman there, that was coming out of turn 6. Was there a mistake by Spaceman? Well, that's definitely one there. Thinking maybe just an error for Spaceman, and he's made another one going up through the castle there. And, oh, Macho's retired. That's on the way into the castle. And Macho, which we would argue was a huge contender in the race so far today, well, is out of said race. We're down to 10. No safety car again here, which I would find slightly interesting. But good nonetheless. I'd rather just have clean racing, to be honest with you. Making their way in towards turn 15 now. Duffy 7.5 tenths of a second behind Chuck Blazin for the 9th spot. About halfway through this Grand Prix in what's been a very chaotic one and carnage-filled race already. And we still have 13 laps to go. Into the pits goes Spaceman. Perhaps it's going to be some sort of... Well, it's going to be a wing change. I didn't expect that. Spaceman didn't appear to have any visible damage on the Aston Martin, but he's gone to the softs nonetheless. That'll relegate him back to 10th. So Duffy and Chuck Blazin now going through and out of turn 2. Pretty even here between these two in question. Duffy on the fresher mediums, Chuck Blazin on the hard, so he'll have to use his advantage now while he can. Spaceman looks to have outbraked himself going through turn 2. Those soft tires yet to be up to temperature. Through turns 5 and 6 now, the battle still. We do have Cameron Dowds within a couple of tenths here of DWCJ. They're making their way. Going through turn 15, a Slayerized retires. That's going up through the castle section, exiting right before what I believe is turn 12. So unfortunate for Slayerized, and now we're down to 9. And I got buzzed not long ago. I'm assuming I've gotten some sort of ping in Discord here. I'm not rightly sure. As Cameron Dowds to the inside. And it looks like he's going to have that one on DWCJ well before they get to the braking zone there. The AlphaTauri now up to 4th. As Spaceman is retired on track, unfortunate for him. That brings us down to 8. In and out of turn 1, it looks as if Duffy got pretty close that time. Not really close enough to make anything happen to Chuck Blazin as they make their way to turn 2 now. Down the straight they go, and yeah, it looks as if Chuck Blazin is just, I would say, better right now. Those medium tires not really living up to snuff. Yeah, Spaceman, I hear you, I feel you. Unfortunate one. Cameron down a couple of tenths of a second here to DJE flat. He's going to look to the inside. A lot of contact there as the AlphaTauri goes up to 3rd. Exiting turn 15 they go. DJE flat, 8/10 of a second. DWCJ trying to get in on this as well. Halfway through this Grand Prix. Started with 15, we're down to 8. Three-tenths of a second here. Does DWCJ have a move it flat here? He's going to look to the outside. Those hard tires looking good on the Mercedes. He's going to get that 4th spot. Exits turn 1, and it looks as if DJE flat may have gotten a little squirrely coming out of turn 1. I'm getting these two confused because naturally DJE flat, DWCJ in the Haas in a different league I commentate. So that's a little confusing there. Jade, a big bit of oversteer coming out of turn 2 there. A little bit of a contact with the outside wall there coming into turn 4. It's 9/10 of a second between these two for the 4th spot. DWCJ appears to be falling off the back of the AlphaTauri in question. Now about a 2-second gap between those two. DJ, for what it's worth, appears to be slightly struggling to keep within DRS range of the Mercedes here. Second and a half the gap now. After DWCJ, I take it as a better go getting in through the castle section, and this grid is definitely spread out now. Making their way through 16, 17, and 18 here. Always a possibility for something to go wrong through this corner. So far this day has been highlighted by Macho losing the lead through the first corner. The pair of the AlphaTauris taking 5 stops each. Couple of safety car being thrown in, and well, we've got a lot of drivers on different tire strategies. Unfortunately, they're not really close enough to battle with each other in these tire strategies, but we may see that. 12 seconds between the top three. This time by, we'll have 10 laps to go here. Currently, the closest battle on track is that of DJE Flat to the back end of DWCJ. But I'm afraid the hard tires ahead will continue to pull ahead. And I say that, I think maybe simply DJE Flat's going to keep falling behind, as DWCJ was about a second behind Cameron Dowds not all that long ago, is now outside 5 seconds back to him. So Caesar, I mean, has done well today. He's kept himself out of trouble, which is always good. 6.5 seconds ahead of Cynical as he makes his way down the pit straight here to start the 17th lap of the Grand Prix. 10 laps to go this time by. .2 seconds the gap here between DJE Flat and DWCJ. I'm starting to believe that yeah, the hard tires are just definitely better off than the mediums occupied by the Haas at the moment. And into the pit lane goes the Haas in question. I'm assuming maybe do another set of mediums, maybe a softs, I'm not quite sure. This will put him back roughly amongst Chuck Blazin and Duffy there for the 7th spot. It's going to be soft tires on here for the Haas. He'll exit the pit lane, and he'll be right here amongst Chuck Blazin and Mario's Duffy. Let's see, does Chuck Blazin manage to get around the outside of DJE Flat here? I tell you what, he was right close. Closes that battle now to about 1.5 seconds, but I'm assuming those soft tires are going to take off here very shortly. They don't take nearly as long to have heat built into them, and I think Chuck Blazin was very close to having a fair attempt of getting past DJE Flat there. Maybe had he pushed a little bit harder on that final lap before the pit stop, he probably could have had a fair shot, but it would just not to be. Cameron Dowds now within 1.3 of Cynical. This will be for the 2nd spot here. Cynical doing well, but it does appear that the 8-lap-old medium tires are better than that of the 2 drivers on the hards ahead of them. Granted, it's only a 2-lap difference, but at that point, I would still believe the mediums to be slightly better. Matter of fact, it's now within 0.7 of a second here, going through turns 18 and 19, through turn 20 now. Down the pit straight they go. Cameron may have a fair shot at Cynical here. Cynical's going to choose to defend the inside. Cameron Dowds is going to look for the outside here as Cynical into the pit lane. Damn it, I was hoping for an overtake there, not going to lie. So what does Cynical decide to do here? I'm assuming onto the soft tires would be my guess. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. That's going to, well, Jaday's going to make his way into the pit lane now. We're having a couple of late stops here. DWCJ stays out. The Mercedes still occupying positions 1 and 3 at the moment. The AlphaTauri of Cameron Dowd currently in 2nd. We do have DJE Flat making his way up to 5th. Chuck Blazin and Jaday making their way. Although it looks as if Duffy's going to get around his teammate as he's in the pit lane here. Although a good amount of drivers on the softs now, 3 of them. Nearly half. Maybe a very solid battle on the way here only if we can get something to happen here. Cameron Dowds on his medium tires. I'm assuming that those are going to go away relatively quickly here. The hard tires will definitely be better than the what I say, they were on 9-lap-old mediums. I'm assuming in just a couple of laps' time, we're going to see those mediums start to fall off to the point of not really being in contention for that top spot. That would be my question, is if Cameron Downs can close the gap to Caesar before the end of the race, because definitely those medium tires, I would assume, have got to be quite chewed now. And Cameron Dowds into the pit lane. He's actually going to follow Caesar in here. Jaday picking up a 3-second penalty, the first 3-second track limits penalty of the day. into the pit lane. It's going to be soft tires for Cameron Dowd. DWCJ stays out on track. He may have a solid advantage now past the other two. Only 9-lap-old hard tires. Those are probably going to be good towards the end of the Grand Prix here. We do now have half the grid on those soft tires. Caesar taking the mediums. Not really an odd decision. I probably would have done that. Those soft tires do not last very long. As two Red Bull drivers inverting positions there. Jade getting around his teammate, being on the soft tires as well. Might be slightly quicker for the time being. Making their way down in towards the castle section now. It's less than a second and a half between the top two. That AlphaTauri on the softs definitely looking quick at the moment. He may have a look at DWCJ here very quickly. Cynical on the softs as well, but he's not really gaining all that much. Not closing in on the AlphaTauri hardly at all. Let's see. Into turn 15, bit of a lockup there from Cameron. They're going to be side by side. Cameron looking for the lead of the Grand Prix down to the inside. Contact being made there. And DWCJ into the wall on the outside, and he has now lost a front wing. Yeah, at least a little bit of it. And I'm thinking, did Cameron pick up any damage? No, it doesn't appear that he does. So Cameron Dowd's the lead of the Grand Prix now. After having overtaken DWCJ there, albeit, well, look at this. DWCJ is going to have a look here. Well, Cameron Dowd's, what he's done there is inexplicably a dirty move. He's allowed DWCJ to get alongside him and then just completely chopped across him. That is a bannable offense there. Absolutely bannable offense there. And I really hope that he's allowed to be kicked from the league after that. That is terrible. And the tomfoolery provided by the AlphaTauris today with being on the intermediate tires in the dries, making 5 stops each. I mean, you can't fault them for making legitimate strategic decisions. But that there, I mean, being on the intermediates in the dry is either a hefty mistake or just plain dumbassery. And, well, that was about the most disgusting thing I've seen in recent memory. I mean, this just does not warrant anything there. Cynical, as far as I'm concerned, will win the Grand Prix, even if Cameron Dowds finishes atop the grid. Couple of tenths in it now between Jade and Chuck Blazin. As Chuck Blazin goes into the pit lane. Well, Cameron Dowd's atop the grid here, but he's not going to be the winner. He's absolutely going to be league banned after today, after taking out DWCJ deliberately there, going down the pit straight not long ago. Well, what started off as looking to be a great race, unfortunately, has turned into quite the shit show here, has to be said. I can look past only finishing with 7 drivers. I can look past stuff like that, but when we've got, blatant tomfoolery from the pair of the AlphaTauri drivers, and not necessarily anything on Macho, but when we're seeing guys taking intermediate tires in the broad daylight on purpose, is what would be my guess. Then Cameron just blatantly crashing into the DWCJ. That makes my blood boil, seriously. There's going to be a winner today. It's not going to be Cameron Dowd. It's going to be Cynical, as far as I'm concerned. Cameron will certainly be facing a league ban after this, and well, it's absolutely deserved. DWCJ and Cameron did have some contact coming out of, turn 15, which, didn't really appear to be, really didn't appear to be anything malicious, of malintent between the two. I think it just appeared to be pure racing incident, and Cameron Dowds did not view it that way. Well, as far as I'm concerned, well, I'm just not concerned what he thinks. Real battle here is between that of Cynical and Caesar for what will be the win of the Grand Prix. Within at least sight here. Well, it has to be said. Well, I tell you what, looks to be a kind of an even battle going at the moment. Caesar being on the medium tires, we can go ahead and assume that those mediums might be better. I tell you what, 2 seconds here. This may get interesting at the end of the Grand Prix. The mediums are certainly going to be the better tire here, and not all that long of a time. Can't stand fuckers that come into the league and don't take it seriously. I tell you what, I think when you look at, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say, because you're absolutely correct. I think when you enter the league and you make the effort to, go into a league, and if you're a guy like Cynical and Slayerized and Monkey Mafia there to put in the effort to run these things, and you got total idiots like these guys joining, which just ruining the fun for everybody, ruining the experience. I mean, ruining it for me and the viewers, you guys as well. I mean, it just has no place at all. Though 2 seconds the gap here. Last minute today too, so probably never intention to be serious. Listen, I've seen guys, show up kind of last minute. I've done it myself a time or two. That doesn't mean 140 on hards. Serious wonder there. Yeah, I agree with that. I've come into races, relatively last minute, and that doesn't mean I don't take it seriously. If I'm entering a race and I'm going to sit there and go on my own time to be part of something, I'm going to try my best. Anyway, to comment on my stupidity in the race. Well, I tell you what, Spaceman, it has to be said, you were looking pretty good there for a bit. Has to be said. It was a pleasant... Well, not necessarily a. I had to pit for a wing and then come out and immediately hit the wall and lost that wing. Yeah, I mean that's understandable, you know. Which you know, sometimes those sort of things just happen. Really, I mean, you were having a great day as well beforehand, and you know, and drifted up on the back straight and hit the wall. I tell you what, Spaceman, you don't get enough credit for you know, the efforts you do. You know, go through to league range there. Of course, the shouldn't have done that, but he had to take me clean and just ram me in the wall, broke my wing. That was stupid of me. Yeah. You know, Spaceman. I think sometimes you sell yourself a bit short. I think the efforts that you do put in, you don't always get the results to actually, you know, show for it. But what I do know is that you're always going to be there to at least give it your best. And well, that's more than I can say I've done. I raced one season in F1, lost the Constructors' Championship going through the first corner of the final Grand Prix, and I have not raced since. And let me tell you as well, I was no Max Verstappen, that's for sure. Well, lap and a half to go here. It's 0.3 of a second between these two as they make their way through towards turn 5. Now, this will be for the win of the Grand Prix. Hey, just try to finish this league as top 10 Midwest D4. I hope for top 5. I tell you what, that's the goal. That's the place to be, though. You know, you got to set expectations like that. You got to put yourself in positions, you know, challenge yourself, but at the same time be in positions where you could, you know, achieve that. And I tell you what, you were having a damn good result today. For the most part, it stayed outside the calamity surrounding you, and unfortunately it ended how it did. But your time will come, dude. I tell you what, you keep sticking with it. You know, what's that saying about broken clocks being right twice a day? I mean, one of these days, man, you're going to be right, and you're going to be right on it. Well, final lap of the Grand Prix here as Cynical and Caesar are about to begin it now. 0.3 of a second. Remember, this is going to be for the win here. To the inside. Oh, I tell you what, is Caesar going to be able to get around the Williams here at the line? And I tell you what, he does. Little surprised, actually. Good-looking move there from Caesar on the medium tires. We had a feeling the softs were going to start to fall off at some point. But here we go, exiting turn 2. Down the straight they go. Cynical, a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the corner. DRS activated, and he's just not really close enough for the time being. Tell you what, he's got one more DRS zone to make it happen. He's got a lot of track ahead of him. A lot of mistakes could yet to be made here. Going through turn 5 now, 0.3 of a second. The gap these two have provided for the time being a good ray of sunshine in what's otherwise been a slightly disappointing display from some drivers on the grid tonight. Other drivers has been a massively disappointing display, but I won't get into that any further. I've said all I need to say. 7.5 of a second here. Does Cynical just have enough left on those tires to really make something happen here? He's not got a lot of time. He's got to really act quickly. 6.5 of a second here. And this is just disgusting. You take a driver out going down the pit straight deliberately and you do this. That is just unbelievable. The nerve. The absolute nerve. I seriously hope not one other league picks that man up. I really do. That's disgusting. To the line, and it looks as if Caesar is not going to be able to, or well, Cynical's not going to be able to defend, and well, that's going to be it for me. I don't really need to go any further on this. Next week in Qatar, hopefully we have a better one.